It is Cheptoo Kositany-Buckner. She's currently the Executive Director of the American Jazz Museum. She's a native of Kenya, so it's great to have her in Kansas City. She started her career at the Kansas City Library and has been there for a number of years. So without further ado, I welcome Cheptoo Kositany-Buckner to our Rotary Club. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I see some faces here that I know, and of course a lot of faces that I know, but I'm really honored to be here with you today. Thank you for inviting me. I think I was doing a favor for Rick Power, actually, that's why I'm here. But thank you for inviting me. When Rick calls and says, Cheptoo, you need to do something, of course I'm going to drop everything to do that. I am very, very excited to be at the American Jazz Museum. I was at the library for 25 years. I started at the library as a lowly PC technician and made my way up as deputy director, and now at the American Jazz Museum. So when you're really talking about a true American dream, I am it. Coming from Kenya, one of the things I like to tell people is, I don't know how to walk. We run in Kenya. And so when I got the position in the museum, I have been running for the last 9 months. So just to let you know a few things that we've done since I've been on board is one of the things that I noticed right away, and I think most people from Kansas City know this, is the isolation of 18th and Vine from the rest of the urban landscape of Kansas City. It is happening at 18th and Vine, but it's not connected to the larger city. So one of the things, we go together with all the organizations at 18th and Vine and launch Fast Fridays at 18th and Vine. We started with a 2-block area, and now we are really expanding it, and it's growing. And what is wonderful to see is a lot of African American businesses that we did not even knew existed. I did not know there were so many jewelry designers in Kansas City that were African American. So not only is it uplifting small businesses, but it's bringing the community together. And it's a place where even now I see people who come there every Fast Friday, not to buy anything, but to stand on the corner and talk and converse. So that has really been very successful. Also on Fast Friday, we launched what we call two-stepping, which is really learning and dancing traditional two-step, which is mostly in the African American community. And during those 2 steps, we range about 150 people who come every Fast Friday to enjoy that. And one of the things as I look at jazz, and I will get to the live performance and the traditional music in a little bit, but you've got to make jazz accessible. Not everybody listens to jazz, okay? Or not everybody would appreciate that jazz is really an art, it's not entertainment. You have to be a connoisseur of jazz. You've got to be able to do that. So one of the things was trying to get the local community, but also people who are not interested in jazz, to see how important jazz was and continues to be. So what we decided to do is, with the issues that were going on in with policemen and communities of color, we launched a project called Harmony on the Vine, Shed, Paint, Not Blood. So what we did is we worked with the artists and we took a mural and created, using the collections from the museum, and created a mural starting from 12th and Vine to 18th and Vine and the future of the Vine moving forward, showing segregation, integration, and showing how jazz brought people together. We had over 750 people in the community come and paint that mural all the way from Norway and Rwanda and Switzerland and Canada that came to be part of that mural. But what it did is, in that painting of the community, we were telling children about the stories of jazz, and they are painting Jay McShane and Charlie Parker and learning about the history of 18th and Vine, but it also brought people together. We continue to work on the harmony on the Vine and connect with people far, far and wide. We continue to do live music performances, but one of the things that I'm trying to do is that the music just doesn't happen at 18th and Vine. This weekend we'll have Ramsey Lewis, our NEA jazz master, that will be there. But music and jazz cannot just be at 18th and Vine. Jazz is Kansas City. It's our heritage. It's unique to us. It's very authentic. There are 4 pillars of jazz in the nation. Kansas City happens to be one of it. But the other cities really embrace their jazz heritage. They worship their jazz heritage. You see it everywhere, you feel it everywhere. So I want jazz to be felt everywhere in Kansas City. I want to collaborate and work with everybody in this community to enhance jazz. So one of the things that we've launched is we are now going to start playing jazz music at the airport. So we're working with the aviation department. That is going to start in February. And then as March Madness gets here and that kind of thing, we're going to kick it up a notch and have more going on there. Arts education, absolutely critical. You know, you cannot say that jazz is important and authentic for Kansas City, but you're not teaching the young to embrace it, to understand the importance of it. So I launched the Kansas City Jazz Academy in September. It was very popular. We were filled as soon as we announced it. So we're teaching kids jazz from 3 years old to 18 years old. With the 3 years old, it's combined with reading about stories about jazz musicians, with acting up instruments and learning about movements. To 18 years old, who are working with jazz masters such as Bobby Watson and Hamid Mahari. We have a very serious faculty that is teaching their music, playing saxophones and that kind of thing. We're getting ready to go to our second semester, and also we'll be announcing very shortly a contract that will grow the Jazz Academy in a major way. That is going to be tied to academics and the idea of music and the brain, and the idea that art is very important to the kids, but they're also learning their heritage, about Kansas City's heritage and jazz in general. The other thing that we launched, again, I told you I'm a Kenyan, I run. I have not been sitting or walking, but I've been running, is really exhibitions. The museum has a wonderful gallery. And in the past, exhibitions were put in place, but not really with an impact in really trying to define what they're trying to do with the exhibits. And so the idea is that we are about jazz and we are about music and culture. And so I launched 2 exhibits. One that we just took down, called Jazz Fix for Life. This is an exhibit with Ed White, a sculptor from Kansas City, Kansas. He's actually done major sculptures throughout the country. He was one of the sculptors for the Martin Luther MLK Monument in Washington, D.C. This was so important. This was one of the most powerful exhibits that we did, but it was an exhibit, sculptures of jazz musicians, Charlie Parker, Miles Davis, Louis Armstrong, and programming related to that. The latest exhibit that we have in place that is opening January 14, will close April 30th, is called Spectrum, Autism, Art, and Music. And this is talking about, autism and the spectrum, but it's using art and using music to bring awareness to the challenges of autism. What this does is, why would you want to do that? They ask me, I say, because you want to bring awareness to something like that in different ways, but you also want to make art and jazz accessible. Those people that are not listening to jazz or might not think that they love art or that they can even enjoy art, but they have somebody that is connected with autism will come to that exhibit and hopefully discover more as they go through that exhibit. Our 20th anniversary is this year. We were opened in September 1997. So this year we're launching as our 20th anniversary, and we're going to have a lot of activities. You'll be hearing that moving forward. But the other thing that we're bringing back is that the museum has run a festival for years. There was Rhythm and Raves and 18th Environment Festival, a lot of variations of the festival. What I wanted to do was take it to the next level, and this idea of Kansas City's heritage, to really bring the uniqueness of this that is ours, that we celebrate Kansas City jazz in a major way, that we are proud of who we are as Kansas City and jazz. And so the festival is going to be Memorial Day weekend. It's going to be, instead of a one-day festival, it's going to be a 3-day festival. The festival is called Made in Kansas City. So we're bringing back musicians that are famous musicians that are still here or are living far away, that are coming back to play Kansas City jazz and Kansas City music. You will be hearing an announcement very soon by one of our musicians, a headliner. Is one of the people who are acting in Hidden Figures. If you haven't seen that movie, I won't name names, but it's a huge, huge headliner. But this, I mean, the criticalness of us embracing our heritage of jazz has to be different strategies. It cannot just be live performance. It cannot be just at 18th and Vine. It cannot just be at the Blue Room or the Green Lady Lodge. It has to be everywhere. So this year with the Jazz Festival, when we launch it, one of the things that we are planning is that we're building up to next year when we do the festival, where we're going to be working with hotels and clubs and restaurants and businesses. And what we're gonna do is those 3 days, jazz is gonna be playing everywhere. We're gonna talk to Uber drivers and taxi drivers, and we're gonna do that. So for 3 days in Kansas City, whether you like it or not, you will hear jazz wherever you go, okay? So we're gonna the other thing that is happening that is very important in the jazz community is that jazz turns 100 this year, or at least there's debate about that. You know, it's basically the first year that there was a recorded music about jazz, 1917. But also, it is a year where some major jazz musicians were born, and so we're going to be doing a lot of celebrations related to that. Ella Fitzgerald, Thelonious Monk, Dizzy Gillespie, Buddy Rich, Santa Maria Monga. I'm forgetting somebody that I know is on there. But we're going to be doing a lot of celebrations related to jazz and Jazz 100 moving forward. But I have a couple of things that I just want to touch base before I sit down. And I've been in Kansas City now for 32 years. 25 years of those at the library. I've lived all my time east of Truce. I've walked west of Truce, but lived all my time east of Truce. The most challenging thing for me when somebody says, Cheptoo, what is the most challenging thing for you as the executive director of the American Jazz Museum? And the most challenging thing is Kansas City. It's our local perception of east of truth. It's our local perception and the stories that keep on a narrative that is not a correct narrative that continue. We talk about it all the time. Nothing is happening at 18th and Vine. Jazz is dead. Who wants to go there? It's not safe. I have people flying from Norway, skip New York, skip Chicago, to end up at 18th and Vine because they want to learn more about Jay McShane. Okay? I have people from China traveling on their holidays to make sure that they're standing on the corner of 18th and Vine. I have girls who decide that their holiday is going to leave Canada and take this trip to listen to jazz and end up in Kansas City. But I cannot get people from Kansas City to come 18th and Vine. So I ask you today, what is authentic about Kansas City? We talk about jazz, we market it, we market barbecue. We talk it, but we don't walk it. And so what I'm asking everybody in our community to really embrace jazz, to embrace its heritage, to embrace that it's one of the most important ambassadors that we have in this city, and the biggest export that this city has exported to the nation and to the world. New York would not have jazz without Charlie Parker and Count Basie, okay? The way we define modern jazz today would not exist without Charlie Parker. That came out of Kansas City. We've got to be proud. We've got to be proud. We are the only city in the nation that has a jazz museum. New Orleans just put something in place. There's the Harlem Jazz Museum, I believe, in New York. Chicago doesn't have one, okay? But we do. And jazz is a true American art form. Classical music is not. This is ours. We created it in America. And everybody out there has embraced it. And I get calls all the time from Europe. Come and speak about jazz. You know, there's a blue note in Japan. named after New York. They are embracing it, they're taking it to the next level, and I think Kansas City, we are missing an opportunity. If we don't embrace jazz, we can increase our tourism, we can find another identity that is not just the sports itself. And I know that art is happening at the Crossroad, at the Kaufman Performing Center, and all that is happening, and it's wonderful, and I'm supportive, and I've been part of it, and I'm in the center of it. But at the end of the day, what makes you different than Denver? They don't have jazz, and they don't have the American Jazz Museum, but they have a performing center. People from Italy are not coming here to look for fine art because they can see fine art in Italy, but they're coming here to look for jazz. Okay, so that's all I ask is that support of jazz moving forward and embracing it, but also embracing the collaborations of organizations that are about jazz. We're very siloed. We all have a small piece of the cake and we're trying to slice it all over. And I think if we all embrace it and if the city embraces it and we come together as organizations to uplift jazz, then we will succeed. Stay jazz. Thank you.